Joining us now to talk about primaries in both Pennsylvania and North Carolina, we have J. Miles Coleman. He is an analyst for UVA's Center. Sabato's Crystal Ball. I know it's very similar to my name, the UVA Center for Politics.
That's what I was about to say. It's good to meet the other Crystal Ball.
Yeah, no relation, although I did go to UVA.
Yeah.
So, Miles, welcome to the show. It's great to have you for the first time. Give us the lay of the land. Let's start in Pennsylvania. Just give our viewers a sense of what some of the key races are there and what the polling looks like, how things are shaking out.
Sure. So Pennsylvania, of all the primaries this year, it may be sort of the craziest, and that's saying a lot. So in the Senate race to replace Pat Toomey, who's a Republican, we have an open seat race. Most of the drama is on the Democratic side. There are three kind of main contenders. There are Dr. Oz, who really needs no introduction. He has Trump's endorsement. Former hedge fund CEO David McCormick is another Republican who may have something of a geographical advantage of being from the Pittsburgh area. Most of the opposition is from the Philadelphia area. And then the other kind of one who has what former President George H.W. Bush calls the Big Mo or the momentum is Kathy Barnett, who has been starting in polls. So it's basically a three-way tie. On the Democratic side, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman is probably the front runner on the Democratic side. As if this race wasn't crazy enough, he had a stroke on Friday, but seems to be doing okay. Right. I'd be surprised if he doesn't still win with a pretty comfortable margin. And on the governor's side, it is another kind of interesting situation. The kind of front runner who got a Trump endorsement over the weekend is State Senator Doug Mastriano, who is a Christian nationalist, as he's been described by other groups. He's been basically on a ticket with Barnett in the Senate race. He would probably be the weakest of the Republicans. His main opposition is former Congressman Lou Barletta, who interestingly was one of the first few congressmen who endorsed Trump in 2016. He's kind of getting the shaft this year. I saw that there was, he was doing some rally over the weekend, his supporters were like, okay, well, where's our loyalty from President Trump? Well, I think with Trump, loyalty isn't exactly a two-way street.
Yes, that's right.
And on the Democratic side, it looks like Josh Shapiro, who's the state attorney general, is probably going to be the Democratic nominee. And I'm sure he'd be very happy to face someone like Mastriano.
So let's go into that then a little bit, Miles. So Kathy Barnett obviously surging in the polls, but Trump also came out with a statement over the weekend saying that she cannot win, that she's untested. Given what we know about the Ohio primary, and it's somewhat analogous here, divided race, everybody's being Trumpy, but one person has the Trump endorsement. How much should we take into consideration what that means for Dr. Oz's chances and the explicit statement from Trump saying absolutely not, Kathy Barnett can't win? How much does that matter? How much is it going to matter tomorrow?
Yeah, my thinking is it may be a bit too late because there seems to be a lot of momentum behind her. I mean, it is really looking like a three-way race. Why we were talking about David McCormick earlier, how he may have a geography advantage. What I mean by that is primaries in Pennsylvania tend to be highly regionalized because if you're running for office there, your home county is next to your name on the ballots. So that's sort of an X factor. How much of a regional boost is McCormick going to get from the fact that he's the only Pittsburgh area candidate? We'll see. But it just reminds me, I've seen other races over the years where it's, in this race, it's basically been Oz and McCormick trying to tear each other down these past few weeks. I mean, it created a good circumstance for someone like Barnett to rise up. So we'll see if she still has the momentum.
Why is it that a lot of kind of establishment Republicans are concerned about the electability, both of Barnett, who Trump is now trying to quash, but also Mastriano, who Trump is boosting for governor?
Yeah, sure, because Pennsylvania is about as 50-50 of a state as it gets. I mean, Biden carried it by about 1 point in 2020. This is a contest, or really both of these contests, given the national environment right now, which is, not very pro-Biden. These are races that they should, be maybe favored in, if not 50-50 at minimum. But I think if they nominate Mastriano, I would assume he'd be at least a slight underdog to the Democrat Josh Shapiro. So it's almost like 2010, where it was a great Republican year, but they screwed up some races just because they nominated some candidates who are unacceptable. And I think there's been this last-ditch effort in both of these races to avoid that. So we'll see. We'll see how that ends up.
What are the other primaries that we got going on tomorrow?
Sure. So the other two of the other primaries I'm watching are for the Senate in North Carolina. That looks like it's probably going to be, at least on the Republican side, a pretty clear win for Congressman Ted Budd, who has a Trump endorsement. You have a decent candidate on the Democratic side in Sherry Beasley, who was a former state Supreme Court justice. North Carolina is one of those states where Democrats can compete, but they can't get over the hump. So we'll see if it's any different this time. And one contest I'm also watching that is in a state that usually doesn't get too much attention is in Idaho. The incumbent governor, his name is Brad Little. He's basically a John Kasich, Mike DeWine type Republican. Well, he has a Trump-backed opponent in his lieutenant governor, Janice McGee, who has embraced a lot of Trump's conspiracy theories. It's a multi-way primary. So I think if she can pull it off, that would say a lot about the direction that the Republican Party is headed in Idaho.
Oh, that's interesting.
That
one wasn't on my radar. Thanks for bringing that up. Talk to us a little bit about the overall picture for the Senate. Obviously, Democrats, have the edge right now. It's 50-50. Republicans very much wanting to take back control. What states do Republicans need to win in order to be able to take back control of the Senate this year?
Sure. So I think one advantage that the Democrats have this year compared to, say, 2014, which was Obama's last midterm, is they're not defending members in states, like Arkansas, Louisiana, South Dakota. Most of the key states are going to be states that Biden very narrowly carried in 2020. So if I'm a Republican, I would be very interested in trying to knock off someone like Mark Kelly in Arizona, Raphael Warnock in Georgia, and even Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada. I think given the national environment, kind of with Pennsylvania, we'll have to see who the Republicans end up nominating. But those are kind of the key races that Democrats are playing defense in. On the other hand, if I'm a Democrat, I would very much like to go after someone like Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, who a lot of times with some of the stuff he says, it's like, are you trying to lose? Because he says
Right.
all of this weird stuff. But, I think at this point, the Senate is, still probably 50-50. Maybe with the national environment, there are Republicans. I'll say this, it's almost like 2010 in that the Republicans should have a very clear path to take in the Senate, which they ultimately may, but they're going to have to nominate candidates who can capitalize on that.
Yeah. Really well said.
Yeah, that is well said. Miles, thanks for joining us. Great to have your analysis today. We're really grateful for it.
Great job, man. Really
Thanks for having me.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.